The Canon 5D Classic in 2004. Full frame powerhouse beast. Color rendition like you've never seen. Budget prices. Another easy review of a camera today. I am going to introduce to you today what I believe to be the best digital camera ever conceived, in my opinion. This beautiful powerhouse is the Canon EOS 5D. Now I get it. The 5D has been reviewed a million times on YouTube. And if you're coming across this review, it is 2004. My name's Rob. I've reviewed thousands of camera bodies. If you've tuned into my channel before, you know that I've reviewed many camera bodies. As I started my photography journey using APS and 35mm film. Now, back in the day, there is no way that I could have afforded such a powerhouse as the EOS 5D Classic. The 5D Classic was released in 2005. That was when I actually joined the fire service. I was on a pretty low salary back then, and this camera body only was released in 2005 for around about $3,400, which is about £250,000. The lens system that this camera used was the EF system, the ultrasonic 50mm 1.4 you can get from KEH or MPB for around about $150. And you really don't need any other lens but that. I'm using a macro lens, which I normally shoot with my 20D, 30D or D30 Canon bodies from back then. I have, with this camera, a beautiful 50mm EF lens, which I tend to leave on the camera and just zoom with my feet. Why am I reviewing this 2005 camera when, if you've seen my channel previously, you know that I have mirrorless, more modern DSLR cameras also, and an abundance of beautiful film cameras, including medium format, 35mm, and some other quirky formats in there also. This is the reason, you guys. The 5D Classic is without a doubt my favorite DSLR camera that I own. I've actually said that about a lot of my cameras, but this particular body just produces images like nothing else. Now, the 5D is a professional camera body from back in the day, 2005. EOS 5D is printed on the front of the camera on the left, or on the right as we're looking at it. On the bottom is where you find the serial number to see if it's one of the cameras with a potential bad mirror. Please Google that before purchasing this camera. This camera came with the original battery in it, which still holds a little bit of charge, but also I went ahead and purchased a Castar battery from Amazon. Now, these Castar batteries are great. They hold a charge. It's the BP511 Alpha. And this is the original Canon grip. These grips are fantastic. The BGE4. Don't get an aftermarket. This is the Canon EOS 5D Classic. It's the Mark I. It's the first one that was ever created back in 2005. When we look at that year, that was the year of Hurricane Katrina. Major news points in 2005. That was Hurricane Katrina. Yeah, that's how old this camera body is. And it still produces images which blow photographers' minds to this day. Now, as said before, this is a CF card camera, a compact flash card camera. Now, I would recommend leaving the flash card in the camera for as long as possible and getting a USB transfer cable. That way, you're less likely to bend the pins in the CF slot, and that way the camera will last longer.
The battery door must be removed in order to attach the battery grip. So keep hold of the battery door somewhere safe. Righty-tighty to tighten it up, and you're good to go. So that's 2 batteries rather than 1, and the blinking red light indicates that the battery pack is good to go. It's going to last you twice as long, but these batteries last an age anyway. And there's a look at the old style mirror. Points to note, no bumpers on the side of the mirror, which indicates that this is the original Canon.
12.7, 12.8 megapixel, beautiful sensor, and those Canon colors which you hear about are why people gravitate towards the 5D. At that time in 2005, Nikon released the D50 and D70, I believe, which were nowhere near as awesome as the EOS 5D Classic. This was full frame. The D50 and the D70 were crop sensor cameras. Yeah, they had CCD sensors, and we love CCD colors, but Canon somehow managed to cram this color science in this beautiful body, which blew that out of the water and still does today, in my opinion.
So then, this is a standard EF lens, which honestly was on one of my SLR EOS cameras. Now this is wonderful. It is actually a macro lens, and with this sensor, it just produces beautiful images. On buttons on the rear, up for on, and then the LCD screen displays everything you need to know. 597 shots, but this is on RAW, R-A-W, RAW. So let's go ahead and change that quality setting inside the camera from RAW to something a little bit more manageable, and you'll see the frame count increase. Now this wheel controls the aperture, as you can see, but the menu system on these cameras are so easy to use. Look how archaic it looks. So low, etc, etc, and you can cycle through pretty easy. And just put it on a mid-level and watch that shutter count increase massively. I love this menu system. I love a wheel. I'm very old school. It's very simple. A lot more intuitive for me than the Nikon menus. But still, it's got everything I need. I press the info button and it tells me everything on the back. And then at the top, look, 999 shots left, which is in actual fact thousands of shots in JPEG. And the color rendition still in the JPEG mode is absolutely wonderful. I'm just going to take a quick image of someone sat on the couch there. Easy peasy, quick fire focus, and that takes a wonderful image. I didn't even look through the viewfinder, and the reds and everything stand out well. But that LCD screen sucks, so don't believe everything you see on the LCD. Trust me, it'll be better when it comes out.
The EOS 5D Classic only shoots 3 frames a second, which is slow. The Canon original BGE4 battery pack, which means I could put 2 batteries in there, and this camera on those 2 fully charged batteries will take well over 1,000 shots. Lasts me all day, no worry. Batteries these days are readily available. I use Castar. Castar sell their batteries through Amazon, cheap as chips. $11 for one of those batteries, $25 for 2 batteries and 1 charger. I don't do anything crazy when I shoot this camera. It is, for me, for pure enjoyment. And I use it in JPEG mode. I shoot JPEGs from this full frame sensor. The colors for me are insanely cool. I get so many compliments on the images that I take of my family, from my family members. Lifestyle type photography with this is amazing.
Now 96% coverage in that viewfinder with the pentaprism, and on the bottom you can see the light meter and the aperture says 4.5 there. Control it with the wheel. As we move the aperture wheel, we'll start seeing the aperture increase or decrease in there in the viewfinder, and the little green light indicates that we are in focus. I love this viewfinder. It makes me so happy to use it. I'm not a huge fan of EVFs on the mirrorless cameras, but you know, it's fine. takes an easy picture just by depressing that shutter. You'll hear a beep when we're in focus, and then we go ahead and we make our image. Beautiful camera, beautiful setup.
When I go on hikes, I take it with, but just be aware that it's 32 ounces. It's a beast. And with that battery pack and a larger zoom lens, you're going to be hiking this thing. It's not the easiest thing to carry, but 100% worth it for the imagery that you get from that amazing sensor. When we look at the specs for this camera, it isn't massively impressive. We have 9 focus points, 8 of which suck. I just tend to use that center focus point and kind of treat it like an SLR. And in that respect, an automatic SLR, and in that respect, the focus is great. It's snappy, it gets me what I need. The camera takes CF cards. 5D classic life hack for you, leave the CF card in and get a USB transfer cable for this camera, connect it directly to your laptop or your desktop. Reason being is the pins in the CF slot allegedly can bend. And if that happens, replacing them can be more expensive than the body itself. Save yourself the hassle. Get a cord off Amazon, it's around 15 bucks. Shutter speed for this particular camera, again, not great. 30 seconds all the way up to 1/8,000th of a second. Kind of similar to the EOS SLR cameras. But you guys, that is enough. That will do for what you need for lifestyle photography, for just getting out with your friends, hiking, whatever you want to do at home. You create beautiful images with this camera.
Now, I enjoy using vintage lenses with more modern cameras. Now, this is a Leica Elmarit 2.8 135. That's a really good focal length for portraits. This lens is around about 200 bucks. It's for my R series Leica cameras, but if you just buy an adapter, the adapters are about 12 bucks on Amazon. They're not the best, but it will adapt that Leica R to the EOS F mount, allowing you to go ahead and use your old school lens on this beautiful newer school full frame camera. Simply attach and turn as if you would attach the camera to a lens, and now you can consider that lens an EOS EF lens. Now I remove the old lens by depressing the lens button, turn the lens to the left, and then I can go ahead and line up those red dots. If I can see it here, easy peasy, there you go. And now I have a Leica R lens on a Canon 5D Classic, and the images that I have achieved, the portraits that I have achieved using this setup just make me smile every time. I mean, obviously, you guys, you can be critics, you can hate, but it's all about if you enjoy your own photography, and I really do enjoy mine. The images that I get using that setup, that Leica 135 and the 5D Classic, just absolutely blow my mind.
Again, I just use it in JPEG mode. Right now, I have an 8 gig CF card in there, and it gives me thousands of shots in JPEG mode. Stick it in RAW. Yes, you're going to be able to edit those photos a little bit more. I don't tend to edit the photos that come out of this, just because I love the JPEGs straight out of camera. The viewfinder is nice and big, 96% coverage, more than enough for what I need. ISO range, again, is not fantastic, 100 to 1600. With that battery pack, I can adjust things from 50 to 3200, and it gets a little bit noisy at the higher ends, but I actually really enjoy the noise that it creates. Comparatively, if I was to put it up against any of my other cameras, it would be this beautiful full-frame Nikon. This is the D700. Now, the D700 was released in 2008, so if you consider it's way later within R&D, the camera development. The D700, unlike the EOS 5D Classic, has a pop-up flash. The build quality feels a bit better. I think the user interface on the Nikon is better, and in low light conditions, the D700 is one of the best DSLR cameras, if not the best DSLR camera I have ever fired. This is my go-to camera for interpreting the world, for capturing moments that I think need capturing, that I think are beautiful. I use this with vintage lenses. But one of my favorite things to do is adjust vintage cameras, enhance these vintage-ish digital cameras with even more vintage manual focus lenses. This is my beautiful Leica R Elmarit 135mm beautiful lens. I love this lens for portraiture. All I did was went onto Amazon, purchased an adapter, Leica R to EOS EF, and now I can use a Leica lens on a Canon 5D Classic. All I simply do is get my adapter, place it on my vintage lens, lock it home, and now this just becomes a Canon EF lens, but it's a Leica Elmarit 135mm, be popped on to my beautiful 5D Classic, and now in manual mode I can create the most wonderful images. The LCD screen on the rear is from the EOS 20D or 30D, so it's not great, and you cannot trust that what you see on that screen is the image that you're going to actually be uploading. Back when it was released, it was $3,500 about just for the camera body, and then the lens was $2 million and the CF cards were $5 million. These days, you guys, you can pick up a 5D for less than $200. Get one. This particular 5D is my second. This particular 5D cost me $80 or $90. Insane. With a battery pack. Now this is the Canon original battery pack. These run for about $50, but I'd recommend getting one to increase that battery life and help with the ISO as well. And if I want to go on a hike, I can always just take it off, put the battery door back in, stick a spare battery in my pocket, they're so cheap, and then know that I've got enough battery life to last me. I am loving photography as much as I did back in 2001. But today, would I recommend purchasing or spending that $200 on a decent Canon 5D Classic? The answer is 100% yes. This is my go-to camera at home. If something cool is happening, I keep it by the exit to my house, loaded with a CF card, with a fresh battery and a good lens on it. If something happens at the house, I grab this camera to take those images. It's very fast to get to work. The focusing system works wonderfully, and the images that come out are so beautiful. Lens I would recommend, get the ultrasonic 50mm 1.4 and zoom with your feet. And last but not least, what do I think is better? What do I prefer? Do I prefer the Nikon D700 or do I prefer the Canon 5D Classic? They're different cameras. In low light, for low light performance, the D700 blows every battleship out the water. The images that you get in low light, its digital interpretation of noise is insanely beautiful. And I have so much f-mount glass that I've got to move towards Nikon because I don't want to reinvest all that money and buy new glass. But as far as sensor colors go, the 5D, the beautiful EOS 5D 2005 full frame beast creates the best filmic-like pieces of art. So that was a little look at the Canon 5D Classic. Everybody's reviewed this camera, I get it, which means everybody owns this camera, I get it. Before you buy it, have a look at whether or not the mirror has been fixed. Email the seller for a picture of the mirror. If it's been fixed, they should tell you. If it's never been fixed, expect the mirror to come off and then you can fix it. Just look on YouTube, there's 1,000 tutorials, or just use my tutorial on how to fix it. And this is a professional camera body. Could you imagine you're at a wedding shooting? Boom, boom. The bride starts walking down the aisle. You try to make an image and the mirror flies off. Now you have to run back to the car, get your backup body, and hope you didn't miss that moment, or she's going to literally kill you. And then you'll kill Canon. But if you're a professional, you should always have a backup body. The Canon 5D Classic in 2004. Full frame powerhouse beast. Color rendition like you've never seen. Budget prices. Less than $200 for the body. Less than $150 for a 50mm 1.4 ultrasonic lens. This is the camera that you should be considering in 2024 if you want to get into the full frame market, not spend a fortune, and create images that literally look like art pieces. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoy the Canon 5D Classic as much as me. I'm looking forward to buying a 6D. I need to stop buying cameras. I have too many cameras. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you guys on the next one.